Hey everyone, welcome to OpenFilmmaker. In this video, I'm going to be taking a look at the Panasonic Lumix LX10 and basically just give you my pros and cons about this camera. I bought this camera about 10 days ago. I used it in Las Vegas. If you enjoy reading, if you want to check out my blog post, that's at OpenFilmmaker.com. I have a review of the LX10 there. And the reason I picked up this camera, we were supposed to go to a concert in Las Vegas where interchangeable lens cameras were not allowed. And I love taking photography and video regardless of where I'm at. But of course, I just wanted to record some memories. And unfortunately, all my cameras were interchangeable lens cameras and they were not allowed. So what were allowed were point and shoots. So that's why I purchased this camera now. And the concert was canceled, so I never got to actually go to the concert, so I don't have any footage or samples from that concert. All right, so now let's start with the cons of this camera. The first thing that I can say, when you actually turn it on to when it's ready to shoot, it takes a few seconds. I don't know if you saw that. Let's do it again. So I'm turning it off. You can see it takes about 3 seconds. Now I'm going to turn it on. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now it's ready. So maybe four or 5 seconds. So that's if you're looking for something that is really quick at turning on and off. This is not going to be one of those things. The next thing is there's not much of a grip here. It's very slight of a grip. I have a wrist strap on here. Absolutely necessary on this camera. Even if you add another, extended grip or anything like that, I think it's really necessary. There's no ridges or anything, so it's slippery and it's easy to drop. All right, the other thing I want to mention on this camera is the ring wheel. Now I have the ring wheel set up to use ISO. When I say ring wheel, that is this thing right here. Okay, now as I'm doing this, the ISO is changing on the camera. I don't know if this is visible. Sometimes I have accidentally bumped into the ring wheel, which changes the ISO. So that's my gripe over there. The screen. Now the screen only flips up, okay? It doesn't flip down. And I guess it's for most of my photography, I'm mainly doing this. So which is not a bad thing, but there's also a couple times where I'm taking pictures up here and I wish it would tilt down. So those are the things that I don't like about this camera. Now let's talk about some of the things that I do like about this camera. Now, one of the first things I have to mention is the battery life. Now, I shot this for a few hours and it still didn't run out of battery. I thought it was really good. I think Panasonic, the way they've designed it, it doesn't consume a lot of power. Now, another thing that I do like, now I did complain about how the screen doesn't flip down, but the fact that this camera even has a flip up screen, I think is good. There are some cameras that don't even flip at all. So it's like a pro and a con. Yes, it's great that it flips up, but why doesn't it flip down? The next thing that I really like about this camera is that it allows USB charging. You don't have to take the external charger with you. Now, some of the other things that I like about this camera is the zoom range. It's a 24 to 72 equivalent on full frame. I don't know if you can read that right there. So it has a pretty nice, good zoom range. I'm just bringing up the fact that you have a lens here that does zoom, and you do get a little bit more flexibility in the type of shots that you get. So 24 millimeters all the way up to 72 millimeters. I think that's pretty good. Another advantage of this camera is at 24 millimeters, you get f1.4. I think the f1.4 is great, especially because it's a 1-inch camera and it can help out in low light situations. All right, a couple more things about this. I think the menu system is fantastic. If you're familiar with the GX85, the G7, the G85, the menu system on the Panasonic has always been great. Now, one of the great things about cameras that allow manual exposure is being able to control that manual exposure. Well, on this camera, so all three, whether it's the ISO or the aperture or the shutter, can be controlled on the body. And I really like that. The other cameras don't have that available. I like being able to just quickly change the exposure without having to do any sort of menu diving. And now the last thing, I mean, it's probably self-explanatory. This is a 1-inch camera. It is very small. It's very portable. Look how small that is. If you have an LX10, do you agree or disagree with some of my feedback on the pros and cons? Let me know in the comments below.